Hey YouTube, hey vinyl community, it's Scott here again, and I'm making a vinyl video, Thrift Store Finds 3, maybe probably my last Thrift Store Finds collector video for quite a while because I've had some developments happen, like basically I lost my job last week, so money's kind of tight, and but one thing I do when I do shop, when I did shop for records, and is you have that old, you remember the old American Express commercial where they said, don't leave home without it, the card? Well, I never leave home without this, my Club Goodwill card. So I made 2 visits to the same Goodwill, which was in my area, and out of just those 2 visits, I got some really good vinyl scores, and I'll show them to you. And talking about saving money, I'm buying like the cheapest beer I can find at Walgreens. Walgreens, for discriminating beer connoisseurs, whatever. So let's get into this. I found this is I got stuff from the '60s here, stuff from the '80s, and the funny thing is, I'm kind of partial from collecting from the '60s because when I was first able to buy records in the late '70s, I had this pent-up demand, pent-up desire to buy stuff that I grew up listening to on the radio back in the golden age of AM top 40 radio. And a lot of what I heard in Milwaukee, it's pretty close to Detroit, obviously, was a lot of the Motown uh, records and performers. And I came across a lot of those in these 2 visits. I got some really cool kind of like collections here. And the first one is this one, 64 Greatest Original Hits Motown, and I got it for $3. You can see the price tag. Now unfortunately one of the discs is missing, but still I'll just show you one of the discs really quick. See one of the discs there, and all these discs are like, they're all virtually mint condition. So that was pretty cool. You see some of them on the back there. See some of the ones there. And another Motown, famous Motown group, I found this one. This is complete. The Temptations Anthology for $2. And it says 10th anniversary album, 3-record set. See all the stuff in here. It's got a little booklet. Let's see some of the stuff in there. Very cool. See some of that? Very cool. This was on Gordy, which was one of Berry Gordy's record companies. See what's on there. So that's really cool. Another famous black performer of the Stax record company, famous from down south. Got this one. Best of Otis Redding. Very cool. So that's very cool. I really like that. Now I got some '80s stuff here. Well, wait, let me skip forward here. This is something else from the '70s. Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway. I remember Roberta Flack from like the early '70s. I haven't listened to this yet, so that should be very cool. Now another one here, famous blues guy, probably the most famous of all time, I would think. B.B. King, Completely Well, and this was for $2. I got it. That there. I'll show you the discs too. It's kind of a cool label. Blues Way on ABC Records. So very, very cool. Another classic performer who tragically we lost due to a freak incident, I guess you call it. Marvin Gaye, heard through the grapevine. You can see that there. I think I paid, that was like for $1. And Lady Soul, I guess you'd call her herself. Aretha, 10 Years of Gold. So it's probably got all her biggest hits there. And another guy, famous guy, this is on London Records, so it's not from America, but Al Green, Call Me. I think this is his most famous song. So that's very cool. Now I'm getting back, like I said, I'm getting into some of the 80s stuff here I came across. This is one that I'm kind of a fan of the Talking Heads, but I never really bought their albums when they were current. I just never got around to it. But this one I got. Speaking in Tongues. Of course, that's got their famous hit, Burning Down the House. Now, I heard of these guys. I played just a little bit of this one. I don't know if these guys were like a dance kind of music or whatever, but it's Bronski beat, hundreds of thousands. So here's another one I never heard of. I don't know much about these guys or nothing, but they're called Translator. No Time Like Now. So I'll check this out. Now I know these guys. Got this fun Psychedelic Furs. So look into that. And another people from the 80s. Echo and the Bunnymen. Crocodiles. Here's another. I actually bought this record back in the 70s, and if you grew up in the 70s, you were a teenager, everybody was into Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and Heart and those bands back then. I wasn't really a huge Pink Floyd fan, but I did kind of like some of their experimental kind of sounding stuff that this record had back then. This was metal. So it's a good clean copy of it, so I picked it. I don't know much about these guys, but yipes. Yipes, I don't know. Yipes. I picked up another Laura Nyro album. Haven't played it. Another group that was big in the mid to late 70s. I wasn't really much into because they were played all over FM radio back then, but still, I picked up this one, ELO Time. See what's on the back there. So I'll check that out. Now this guy, he was with the Steve Miller Band back in the 60s. And then he kind of had sort of a solo career. I think he's still in Madison, Wisconsin, which is not too far from where I live, but this is kind of neat to come across. Ben Sidran on the cool side. See the back. And this is a promo copy. You can see that. And I got some other promo copies that I came across of other records here, like this one, this Carly Simon, Torch. Loan for promotion only. So that's kind of cool. A DJ copy. Another DJ copy record, Ian Hunter, All-American Alien Boy. See that? So, and another band, maybe I've heard of these guys, I don't know, but this another one, Eye to Eye, also a promotion copy. Now this guy was kind of like a famous advertising Guy. He made some kind of novelty records and things. He was kind of famous in the early 60s. Came across this. Um, Best of Stan Freberg. He's kind of influential in like advertising, and cover's not too good. Some damage there, but um, kind of a novelty thing. Another famous guy, solo guy. Later, he worked with Johnny Winter, and he started basically in his childhood with the group the McCoys with "Hang On Sloopy" and or whatever. It was Rick Derringer, and I came across this one. Derringer Live, kind of a live version of what he was doing. It's got like his big hit was rock and roll hoochie coo. Kind of a famous early new wave girl performer. I think I already have a copy of this, but I picked this one up. Patti Smith, Wave. And as you can see, it's a DJ copy for $1. Now I think this guy, I think he was, I'm pretty sure, if my memory serves me well, this guy was a guitarist with David Bowie's band. Mick Ronson. Correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know. Let's see what he did there. And another early, this is some more 80s stuff. One of the famous early punk bands or whatever. The Dead Kennedys. Fresh fruit for rotting vegetables. I probably, I was in my probably early 20s when this came out. I probably know what's on this record. I didn't have it at the time or whatever, but another famous guy from famous band. I think this was his first solo album. David Gilmour. See what's on the back there. Now here's someone I never heard of, but I picked it up because I was intrigued by the cover or whatever. Norton Buffalo. So that might be interesting. And here's what the still picture from the front, that colored disc, was from this album, Waitresses, Bruiseology. So that might be interesting. I always like bands with like a female member with guys, because I for some reason I always like guys and girls singing together. This is a famous, I guess, kind of a famous live album by an iconic performer, Lou Reed, Rock and Roll Animal. There he is, kind of that gender bending look he had there going. This was kind of a singer, well, not really famous, but kind of a singer-songwriter who kind of like disappeared off the music scene. In fact, he actually went into making musical instruments, guitars, I believe. It was David Bromberg, and he had a band here going. It's also a demonstration copy. And another iconic early 80s group, kind of more famous from the early MTV era, Devo. I think this is maybe not their first album, but probably their most famous. This is the one that's got Girl You Want, Whip It. Famous record there. And I found another one by them. This one. So I kind of actually like them. Another famous record, probably, I think this guy's probably most famous record, Frank Zappa, Apostrophe. It's got the famous, Don't Eat the Yellow Snow. Never heard of these guys, but I picked this thing up too. The Alley Cats, Escape from Planet Earth. Don't know anything about them. And another band I think I may have vaguely heard of, don't know anything about, but it was in good shape. Cock Robin. So check these guys out. There's a girl on the back here, so I always like that. Some famous blues guys. instrumental guys. This is kind of cool to find. Albert Collins, Robert Cray, and Johnny Copeland Showdown. You see that there? I'll show you the disc real quick. I know time's running kind of long here, but it's on the Alligator label, so that's kind of cool. Another one here, kind of a 70s guy, Ian Hunter. All the good ones are taken. Very cool. One of the early power trios, kind of like the American version of Cream, I guess you'd call them. Mountain, Twin Peaks. It's got there. Very cool. I like Leslie West. I used to have some of his solo albums. I don't know why I got rid of them. Never heard of these guys either, but I'm intrigued by this. Smokey John Bull. So I don't know what this is either. I haven't played it yet or nothing. So it's on there. Kind of another famous guy, I guess you call him, Randy California. Spirit, Future Games. See what he's got there. Another 80s kind of band. Squeeze, East Side Story. See what's on there. Another famous group that's been around a long, long time. A British group, Status Quo. And a few years after their prime, I guess you call them, this group one I found, Steppenwolf. It's slow flux. It's got some condition issues, but the discs is really good. It's on there. This guy, he's in the Moody Blues. He made this kind of solo record. He's a drummer, right? Graham Edge Band. See the band there. Kind of neat. Kind of a Moody Blues fan. Another famous musical here. This is mint condition. It cost me $2, more than a buck, but the album Hair from the original cast recording. It's absolutely mint. A couple records by kind of a well-known singer-songwriter in the 80s, I guess. John Hyatt. And another one here. I think I've heard of this one. John Hyatt. Bring the Family. And another kind of eccentric guy, American guy. Tom Waits. Nighthawks at the Diner. I don't know if this is a live album. So in just 2 visits at the same Goodwill, I came across these records within a couple weeks. So I hope you appreciated that, and I appreciate any comments or whatever. And I could I said I lost my job, so I got to look for a job, but I have some time now. I can actually play and listen to and appreciate some of these records that I've accumulated throughout, you know, these many years now, maybe finally. So, but I hope you appreciated that again, and I hope you tune in again to my channel real soon. And with that, thanks a lot. Bye for now.